Hello my friends and welcome to today's video. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Design. In today's video I am going to show you how I painted these very loose watercolor roses, and I used Crimson Lake, olive green, sap green. I think I used an orange, a blue, and a purple, but you can use of course whatever colors you like and whatever you have available to you. I am using Arch 100% cotton watercolor paper and a size 8 silver black velvet brush and my Muño pan paints. So to create my rose, I start with the tip of the brush and I create this little swirl in the center, almost like little half moons. And then as I go out, I start with the tip of my brush and then I push down and then I lift back to the tip of the brush to create these little crescent curved lines around my petals, and as I go out I make them larger by pressing down more on the brush. I also add a little bit of water as I go out with my petals to lighten the color. And then once I've got all my petals down, I do pick up a little bit of extra pigment and add it to the inner part of some of the petals to create a little shadow. Now I've added a little bit of orange to the Crimson Lake just to change up the color a little bit. So you can see here I'm making those broken little curved lines, and as I go out you can see how they're getting wider. I start with the tip of the brush, push down, and lift back to the tip of the brush. And then you can add a little bit of water to lighten your petals just so that you have some contrast, and it softens the look a little bit as well. Here I'm adding a little bit more pigment to the center and just making my rose a little bit bigger by adding more of those lines. Then I add a little bit more pink to that mix because I want my roses to be a little bit different in color so that they don't blend one into the other. So again, you see I'm using the tip of the brush to start the petal. I push down and lift back to the point, and that's what gives me those curved, those crescent halves, those I'm at a loss for words here, those shapes that taper at each end. Now to create my leaves, you can see I'm doing the same thing, but instead of curving my lines, I'm keeping them straight. So I start with the tip of the brush, and then I press down and I create one side of my leaf. And then I go back to the beginning and use the tip of my brush, push down, and I create the other side of the leaf. You can see me doing it here. And I'm keeping the leaves close to the flowers because I don't want a lot of white space close to the flowers. And I'm painting right over my tape. I want the leaves to look like they're going off the page. And I'm using a different combination every time I paint leaves, every time I paint a leaf, just to create a little contrast. And now you can see I'm going with smaller leaves. Always wrapping my leaves around my flowers, if that makes sense. I don't want any straight lines. I want it always to curve. So you can see I'm changing up the colors. Some petals, rather leaves, are lighter and some are darker. And I'm just adding leaves wherever I think it looks like I could use one. And because I'm changing out the color, it makes it more interesting. If all the leaves were the same color, it would just look very flat. Now this whole painting, I believe, took me about 20 minutes to do. Now here I've picked up a little bit of purple on my brush. I've painted a curved stem, and now I'm just using the very tip of my brush to add the little leaves off of that stem. And I'm just adding them wherever I think I need a little something more. So you can see I'm just pressing the tip of the brush along that line that I painted to create the little leaves. Now this turned out so cute that I'm going to use it to make a card with it. And now you can see I've picked up a little light blue, and I made sure that I diluted it with a lot of water, and I'm using it to create a background. So I'm not trying to be too careful going around all the leaves. I'm leaving a little white space in between my background and the leaves. This is very loose, very easy to do. If you think about it too much, you complicate it. It's just a simple little painting. So just take your brush to the paper, don't think about it, enjoy the process. So you can see I'm just using the tip of my brush. These silver black velvet brushes have a really nice tip. So even though I'm using a size 8, it's very easy to get into those little tight spaces. So I'm just going around now and adding a little bit more wherever I think I need it. And then I'm going to pick up a heavier consistency of the greens that I used for the leaves, just to add a little bit of detail so they don't look so flat. And I'm going to change the details that I add around the painting to the leaves. You'll see that in a moment. So here I'm just drawing a center vein and then a couple of little lines for the veins that come off the center vein. And I'm mixing my greens. Again, really simple. Using just the tip of my brush to get those nice, fine, thin lines. And now for these petals, you can see I'm just drawing a line up the center of the petal, rather the leaf, and I'm just adding a little extra color on one side of each leaf, just to change it up a little bit. On some, I'm just adding a center vein like you see here. And then I'm picking up a little bit more of the color that I used for the roses and just adding a little bit more depth to the inside of those petals. And once I add the color, I clean off my brush and I soften those lines. But I just wanted the flowers to stand out a little bit more because I thought they looked like they were getting lost with the green and the blue. So I just wanted them to stand out a little bit more. So I added just a little more color. And you see me here using a clean, damp brush to soften up those edges. Adding a little bit more detail. Just a little center vein on those purple leaves. And then just a little bit more of the background. I missed a spot. And this painting is done. And I think that this makes a really cute card. And it doesn't look like much until you remove the tape. Then it really looks finished. This would be really nice matted with in a white frame. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you give this a try. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.